Diversity, flexibility and resilience. That's how Balfour Beatty summed up its half-year results. Britain's biggest construction company posted profit of £69 million, up almost 10% from a year ago. As for the future, its order book rose 6% to £15.5 billion, but it still says it sees significant challenges in many markets. For the story behind today's numbers, we're joined by Balfour Beatty CEO Owen Thomas. Owen, very good to see you. Do you still have that positive outlook? When you look at Britain, you've got 54% of your business that's done in the UK, and Britain is going through an unprecedented term of austerity, which really hasn't started biting yet.
Well, we see certainly some short-term challenges in our markets. None of those are unexpected. We will see public sector spending fall in our areas. But equally, we will see a recovery in things like the commercial sector. We'll see a lot of expenditure in the power sector going forward.
You're confident of a recovery in the commercial sector, that is going to come through?
We will see a recovery in the commercial sector. I can't predict exactly when it will happen, but you can already see some of the signs of that in and around, for example, London. There is much more activity now than there has been in the past.
Yeah,
now,
loads of activity around London. Go outside London and the M25, and it is a completely different picture.
It is, but over time we will see recovery. Our business doesn't trade on monthly cycles or 6-monthly cycles. We're a much longer-term business than that. And if you look at the investment that will come into the UK and into infrastructure in the UK in the next 5-10 years, yes, I'm very positive about it.
Where do you think that investment will actually come from? Where's the money going to come from?
Well, a lot of that will be funded by non-government activity. It will come through areas, and I mentioned it just now, areas like the power sector. The European utilities will invest in the UK, and they'll invest behind government policy in the power sector in the UK. We will see private investment more generally, and indeed we ourselves have the capacity to invest behind infrastructure through the modest resources we have in our own balance sheet.
It's interesting that you do about a third of your business now in the United States. Are you, when you look at the way construction and growth there is stalling in the United States, do you think to yourself, you know, maybe we shouldn't have pushed in quite so hard to get into that market?
Well, no, I don't think that's right. I think if you look at two parts of the US market, the infrastructure market in the US, and of course we are much more than a construction business, both in the UK and the US, particularly in our professional services business in the US, we see actually reasonable stability overall in things like transportation. The US is rather different to what people think. A lot of that activity comes through individual states rather than from the federal government. Sure, there are certainly some challenges that we've seen over the last couple of years in the commercial market, but the acquisitions that we've made in the US have been very successful.
And are you making any more acquisitions? Are you still on the hunt?
We will continue to invest behind our business. We certainly have the core pieces of the business in place, but we will continue to invest behind it. But we're also looking to drive organic growth as well.
And what about, you've already taken acquisitions in the United States. Everybody else is looking towards Asia. What are you looking at there?
And indeed, we're a significant player in the Middle East, in Asia, in Australia. Those are all markets which are going to become a much bigger part of our business over the next 3 to 5 years.
Now, in the past few weeks, commodity prices may have dropped off a little bit, but if you look at them in the past year or 18 months, there has been that very constant rise. How have you able to absorb the rise in quite the basic commodity prices, such as steel, for instance, that have almost doubled in some cases? Have you been able to pass those on?
Well, the way we operate in most areas where we exist is we operate as an integrator of our supply chain. We're essentially the conduit through which all of those things flow to the customers. Rarely do we take direct risk on things like commodity prices. So no, we're not directly affected by those. Our job is to manage the impact of those as best we can on behalf of our clients.
Owen Thomas, CEO Balfour Beatty, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much
for joining us
here
on Bloomberg.